Welcome back to the Future Archive. Today, we examine archive broadcasts from August 16, 2026. We'll cover a surreal Middle East peace effort, a tech giant's existential legal battle, record heatwaves, a climate-fueled hurricane in Hawaii, and a solar mission that reshaped our understanding of the sun. History, as ever, moves in mysterious directions. The first story. Kushner's unlikely diplomacy. Trump envoy negotiates with Hamas. On August 16, 2026, Jared Kushner, former White House advisor and son-in-law to Donald Trump, arrived in Israel to continue negotiations with Hamas, a group long designated as a terrorist organization by the U.S. and other governments. Kushner's role as a diplomatic envoy marked a bizarre revival of his involvement in Middle East peace efforts, which had previously yielded the so-called deal of the century during the Trump administration. This time, however, the stakes were higher, with Hamas controlling Gaza and tensions escalating after years of conflict. The negotiations took place against a backdrop of skepticism, as many questioned whether Kushner's real estate background and lack of traditional diplomatic experience qualified him for such a role. The talks aimed to address a proposed Gaza peace plan, though details remained vague, and the international community watched with a mix of curiosity and concern. This moment in 2026 reveals much about the era's approach to diplomacy, a willingness to bypass traditional structures in favor of personal connections and perceived pragmatism. From the vantage point of 2050, we know these talks ultimately led to a short-lived and unstable truce, one that collapsed within months under the weight of unresolved grievances. The episode underscores humanity's enduring faith in the power of individual charisma over institutional expertise. It also serves as a reminder that history does not always reward the bold. Sometimes it simply outlasts them. Evidence later suggested an intern may have misfiled a key memo, but that is a story for another episode. Diplomacy by family ties rarely outlasts the family reunion. The second story. Meta's legal reckoning. Court case threatens to redesign Facebook and Instagram. In August 2026, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, faced a landmark court case that could force a radical redesign of its platforms. The trial centered on Meta's data practices, specifically its collection, use, and monetization of user data, which critics argued violated privacy laws and stifled competition. The case was brought by a coalition of state attorneys general, who alleged that Meta's dominance in social media had created a monopoly, harming users and smaller competitors alike. If Meta lost, the court could order the company to spin off Instagram and WhatsApp, or at minimum impose strict new rules on data sharing and targeted advertising. The outcome would not only reshape Meta's business model, but could also set a precedent for how tech giants operate globally. This case was a turning point in the long, slow reckoning with the consequences of the social media era. By 2050, we look back at this moment as the beginning of the end for the unrestrained data economy. Meta's eventual loss in 2027 led to the breakup of its empire, though the company adapted by pivoting to AI-driven services, a move that would later define its survival. The trial also highlighted the subscription wars, as platforms began charging for features that were once free, a trend that would only accelerate in the decades to come. Humanity, it seems, will tolerate a great deal in exchange for convenience. The free lunch, as it turns out, was just a very long invoice. The third story. Record heatwave, 38 degrees Celsius, as UK issues amber extreme heat warning. On August 16, 2026, the United Kingdom issued an amber extreme heat warning as temperatures soared to 38 degrees Celsius, 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, shattering previous records. The heatwave was part of a broader pattern of extreme weather events linked to climate change, which had become impossible to ignore by the mid-2020s. The UK, traditionally known for its mild and often rainy climate, found itself unprepared for such temperatures. Schools closed early, public transportation faced disruptions, and hospitals reported a surge in heat-related illnesses. The government urged the public to stay indoors, hydrate, and check on vulnerable neighbors. Meanwhile, climate scientists warned that such heat waves would become more frequent and severe without drastic action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This heat wave was one of many wake-up calls in 2026, though humanity's favorite strategy of postponing problems remained in full effect. By 2050, the summer of 2026 is remembered as the year when climate denialism finally collapsed under the weight of undeniable evidence. Yet even then, action remained sluggish, as governments and corporations struggled to balance short-term economic interests with long-term survival. The irony, of course, is that the tools to address climate change, renewable energy, carbon capture, and sustainable agriculture, were already available. They simply lacked the political will to be deployed at scale. The great spreadsheet crisis of 2026, where climate models were lost in bureaucratic limbo, did not help. The weather report became the news, and the news was not good. The fourth story. Hurricane Lala devastates Hawaii, sweeping away 100 homes. Hurricane Lala made landfall in Hawaii on August 15, 2026, bringing devastating winds and torrential rain that resulted in the destruction of approximately 100 homes. The storm, named with a lightheartedness that belied its ferocity, was the latest in a series of increasingly intense hurricanes fueled by warming ocean temperatures. Hawaii, though accustomed to tropical storms, was unprepared for the scale of Lala's impact. Emergency services were overwhelmed, and recovery efforts were hampered by damaged infrastructure and limited resources. The disaster underscored the growing vulnerability of coastal communities to climate change, as rising sea levels and stronger storms combined to create a perfect storm of risk. Hurricane Lala was a tragic example of the new normal in the 2020s, disasters that were predictable yet somehow still surprising. From 2050, we see this event as part of a larger pattern of climate migration, as communities in high-risk areas began to relocate inland. The storm also highlighted the inadequacy of early warning systems and disaster preparedness, as governments struggled to keep pace with the accelerating impacts of climate change. Safety committees were formed to predict such events, though their effectiveness was often limited by the same institutional inertia that had plagued climate action for decades. Nature does not care for the poetry of hurricane names. The fifth story. India's Aditya L1 mission unlocks new solar mysteries. In August 2026, India's Aditya L1 mission, the country's first dedicated solar observatory, delivered groundbreaking findings that reshaped scientists' understanding of the Sun. Launched in 2023, the mission was designed to study the Sun's corona, solar wind, and other phenomena from a unique vantage point at the Lagrange L1 point, about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. The new data revealed unexpected patterns in solar flares and coronal mass ejections, offering insights into the Sun's magnetic field and its influence on space weather. These discoveries were celebrated as a major achievement for India's space program and a contribution to global astrophysics. While Earth grappled with climate crises, humanity's gaze remained fixed on the cosmos, a testament to our enduring curiosity and ambition. The Aditya L1 mission demonstrated India's growing role in space exploration, a trend that would continue well into the 21st century. By 2050, solar research had become critical not only for scientific understanding, but also for practical applications, such as protecting satellites and power grids from solar storms. The mission also served as a reminder that, even in times of terrestrial turmoil, the pursuit of knowledge remains a unifying human endeavor. The Sun, it turns out, had a few more secrets to share. Today's stories from August 16, 2026, reveal a world at a crossroads, grappling with climate reality, redefining diplomacy, and confronting the consequences of its own technological creations. Yet through it all, humanity pressed onward, for better or worse. This has been the Future Archive. The past, as always, is not going anywhere.